Hello, good afternoon. It is the Everton Daily. It's Monday the 21st of October. Just bringing you up to date. I haven't brought Jack up to date many times for dates.
Dates are like times, they're not real.
Jack took it, you see. I knew that you'd have an objection to it, but Jack liked it.
Object.
But obviously Jack is in pastures new from today, isn't it? So good luck to Jack.
Dateless.
Date, that's it. Doing whatever. He'll be there just going, I don't know what date it is. Don't even know what time it is.
I don't know what I'm doing.
What's happening? Good win though, the weekend. Feels good. Monday after Everton have won a game of football. Yeah. How are you feeling? More relaxed? Were you relaxed? Were you nervous at any time on Saturday? Watching Everton, I mean. Might have been other
when
times.
the lad wriggled through the box and fell over.
Yeah.
It's probably when I felt a bit nervous.
Penalty for you? No.
It's not ever a penalty.
So does that mean Dom's wasn't a penalty
No,
then?
because they're different. And I will...
No, I'm saying so.
No, they're different. And I'll tell you why they're different. Is because Dwight McNeil actually had the ball. Dwight McNeil, if you watch it, it's hard because it's just the way it is. But if you watch where Dwight McNeil is, he actually has the ball. Dwight McNeil's going to kick the ball. And I think that's the difference. I think Dan Burn was had put his foot in a position to be kicked. Whereas I think Dwight's actually about to kick the ball away. And the lad was always falling over. I mean, it's terrible that we let him do that anyway, but no, it was never a penalty. Never a penalty. So nice to see it turned over.
Yeah. I mean, that was key, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Those two moments in the first half, Jack Clark's sitter, and then Jack Clark going down. With two big moments in that first. I mean, we had big moments as well. We could have put the game to bed before we did do, but they were two key moments in the game. And Kieran McKenna wasn't happy, was he? Thought it was a penalty, but I think when he went to the screen, though, were you confident it would be overturning? Because if they were using... I was, once he went to it, because I was thinking, well, if they're using the same logic they said for us against Newcastle, and it's exactly the same, he kicks Dwight McNeil rather than the other way. So I thought once he went to the screen, right, you know... But you just never know, do you?
No, you don't know. You've seen that yesterday.
Well, yeah, the lad fellow went to the screen, the Liverpool game, didn't he? And overturned.
Went to the screen on the Man City, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, and saw it there. So
I don't know what happened in the Liverpool game because I never watched this.
The second penalty.
Watch a second of it, but
I don't know. I saw the second penalty.
No. No, I didn't think it was a penalty whatsoever, and gladly they saw sense. To me, I'd seen Tarkowski straight away going, what for? And the ref was like, and it was like, what are you giving a penalty for? There was no reason to give a penalty. He just fell over. Literally. McNeil was on the other side of his foot about to kick the ball away. So McNeil was in control of the ball. I think that's the difference between the Burns and Dom one. And I genuinely mean that. I'm not just like, trying to back up an argument because I thought Dom's was a penalty. I thought McNeil had the ball. Just because a lad runs into the box and does a little weave round and falls over doesn't mean it's a penalty. So good to see the referee get it right.
Yeah, definitely. Emma says Ipswich were poor. Kalvin Phillips is atrocious, but 3 points in the bag.
He's give up on life, hasn't he?
Weird, isn't it? Said this. I was watching the game at my dad at the weekend. I was like, what a fall from grace he's had. When he was at Leeds, he looked like a really good player. He was playing for England, knew what he was doing in that Leeds side, knew his role.
Don't you think that's inevitable, though, for a player to be at a club where Manchester City, where the world sort of presents it to him? You have all these amazing experiences, even if you're not the main man. Even if you are part of what's going on, you have all those experiences of winning trophies. Even again, as I said, even if you're not a major factor in them, you're winning trophies, you're collecting medals, you feel like you're part of, you train with these amazing people every single day, and then someone takes that away from you. And first of all, you go on loan to West Ham where you think you're going to get an England place by playing. It doesn't go well, and then the next minute you feel like then you find yourself at a club like Ipswich, without any disrespect to them, and mentally that must be really tough. And you can see that because mentally he doesn't look switched on at all to the job he's having to do. Don't get me wrong, some people can do that, and that's, they'll do that job professionally, and it doesn't. They play for the team, but I just think I think he would have loved to have gone back to Leeds. The opportunity didn't arise, obviously, because they didn't come up. But you can tell he's checked out in many ways. He saw his dream move lead to him losing his England place as well. And yeah, it's for him mentally. I don't think he's taken that the right way. But what can you do? I don't think it's I don't know. But you wouldn't like to think it's just, I'm not bothered. He just looks like he's checked out. Just no good for them.
It's 29 in December. I don't think he's that. I've seen documentary on Leeds and all that. He doesn't come across as that kind of lad. He comes across as hard worker that wants to do well. But he was given 2 years at Manchester City to get himself in the right space, and he couldn't do it for whatever reason.
He's not an intelligent footballer enough.
No, that must be what it is. For Pep, you've got to be able to understand the game. When 17-year-old kids are coming in the academy, you can understand it, and they put it in the middle of midfield instead of you, then there's an issue, isn't it? And
I think for Ipswich, I think that's the bit of Premier League experience they were counting on this season, because you could see the two teams, and I think this is where Sean Dyche, as the Everton manager against teams who've come up, has done quite well. This is where this is where all that experience that he's gained at Burnley comes in. Those games against teams in and around you, he puts in players who know how to do the job, and I think that was the point on Saturday. We've gone there and we've done a very professional performance. We've not done anything stupid. Your Ashley Youngs of the world, your Decoreys of the world. Every single player out there has played probably 100 Premier League games. Apart from Ndai. Every single player out there has probably played 100 games, and you can see that kind of experience is all over the pitch. And we never got too excited. We dealt with the second half quite well. You'd want more subs, but you can understand in many ways why he didn't make more subs. There's an element of, well, shouldn't you be trusting maybe more players? Don't you have experience on the bench like Seamus Coleman, or are they just there for show? I don't know. I don't know. We none of us will know that other than him and his staff. But he's trusted them, and yet they came into it the last 10 minutes or so, because they did have loads of subs, and they will, but they got through it, and it was a pretty straightforward game of football without any major theatrics. And there's loads of them you should be having a season, loads of them, because that level of Premier League experience should be enough to get you through.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously it was a very, very comfortable afternoon's work. Michael Keane demonstrating he is the Marco van Basten inside the penalty area. Keep every time he does something like this, you see people saying just play him up front. It's a totally different game, isn't it? But I will stress, I would rather see him having any of the chances Dom had, because I'd back him to. I seen this at Anfield when they beat us 5-2 that time, and Marco was in. He just dinked it over Adrian at the Kop. He's a nat. I think you check out the 1878 podcast when it's out tomorrow. But you brought a really good point up on that. Is that, and I remember it because not that often. No, because as a kid he was a striker, and that natural finishing is there from a young age. It's natural. Whereas Dominic Calvert-Lewin, more of a midfield player, growing up and got put up front at Sheffield United, I think. Or,
you can see that.
You can see he's not. It's, even though he does lots of stuff really well, that finishing ability is not quite there, what Michael Keane's is. But obviously Michael Keane doesn't have the other bits, which is why he's not a centre forward.
Yeah, and on that point, I think that's massive, and I think you can look at Beto as someone who's in that. It's like that development era between maybe like 14 and 18 of repetition, and we went and trained, didn't we, with Phil. And, and
Several,
and you, obviously you'll know this yourself from being at a club at that kind of ages. Watching him finish, and you can tell it's someone who's just worked on repetition. Because I actually said to him, I was like, as a layman, as an amateur footballer, you know, the idea of just shooting into an empty goal is like mentally can be really like terrifying. In fact, I think on Match of the Day 2 last night, they showed a clip of someone at half-time crossbar thing and the lad didn't even hit the target. And you're just watching him and it's just like bing, bing, bing. Every single shot he took was just like the same place, same technique. And that's something he would have learned in those early years of just like every day finishing as part of his main training. It's just bing, bing, bing. And I'm sure Michael Keane was exactly the same. Where Don might have missed out on that. And then, as we said, Beto is someone you can see that rounded part of his game. It's like when you say, you know, you see these players, sometimes late developers, and they get dropped into the game and it's just like all that, the good stuff they can do. Or even like, I don't know, you know, you watch some of these like freestylers or whatever and you're just like, why aren't they? Look at the tricks they can do. It's like, yeah, but all that proper football stuff is not there. And, with Keane. But I actually said on my match, I think it was on the player ratings, Michael Keane is in the wrong generation, because 30 years ago he could have been a Paul Warhurst.
He could have been put up front.
You know, someone who could have transitioned, because the game was different then, by the way. It wasn't not just because, but the game was different. And we had Paul Warhurst, was like Sheffield Wednesday. Chris Sutton, Dion Dublin. Players who could transition. I'm sure there's loads more. You know, Mick Lyons did it at Everton, didn't he? And that's not just, by the way, sticking them up for the last 10 minutes. These are players who played lots of games. You know, Warhurst and Sutton literally changed their positions. You know, because football was a little bit different then. It was all about the long ball. It was all about getting the first contact and then getting into the box, or, you know, very, very different to what it is now. So he's actually in the wrong generation. But you just said there, if you're going to trust anyone to take a penalty, trust anyone you want the ball to, you know, go back to the goal he scored against Palace when we were 2-0 down. The composure, the bend with the outside of the foot to put that in.
Steer it, yeah.
He's a tremendous finisher, and he's got some fantastic goals in his locker. Like, so, you know, that one on Saturday, he's got no right to do that. He's got no right to do that. And do you know what finish it remind me of? Ryan Giggs in the semi-final against Arsenal. I'd have loved him to see him twirl the shirt afterwards.
He hit it so well, it was still rising in the referee for the net. It was a fantastic goal.
It's just 100% belief in what you're doing.
That is crazy for him, innit?
No, I don't think it is crazy though. Because
no, but what I mean is at one end, I wish he played with 100% belief.
But that's maybe the reason. But you watch some of the the training videos.
No, I'm not talking about him finishing. It's finishing.
No, I know, but if he's got 100% belief that's what he's amazing at, you know, then you can fully understand.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I want him to have that 100% belief.
But he doesn't believe that because it's not necessarily true. Talking about a lad who has basically never taken the armband at Everton Football Club for whatever reason. The lad should have been given the day he walked in at Everton, maybe should have been given a sports psychologist more than...
He's too nice.
That's
he
what I mean.
Looks like the type of centre-back that I'd love to play against. So if he kicks you, he picks you up and says, you're all right. Whereas Tarkowski's horrible.
Tarky.
You seen him on Saturday. It was a great tackle on Hutchison.
Yeah. But he came alive after Delap pushed him.
Yeah.
First 10 minutes, I generally was looking at him going, he looks stiff today. He looked stiff. He was, because they had a bit of, made that early one, didn't he, down the channel, and he looked stiff. He looked slow. Once he got warm, but once the lap pushed him, he was like, right, if that's what we're doing today, then I have
he had this numbers are actually quite good.
And I have no problem. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He said, that's what we're doing today, that's what we're doing. And the tackle was superb. I mean, that's what we want in football. We want tackles like that. You win the ball, tackle. You take a little bit of the man, but you win the ball.
Yeah, he didn't crunch him, but it was a tackle to go.
But he was telling every...
Drop when I'm there, I'm having it. And where Michael Keane doesn't have that, does he? He's to pick you up, make sure you're okay.
He is, yeah.
And listen, David existed in football for years, but certainly in the opposing third, I wouldn't want the ball dropping to anybody else in and around a penalty area, because I think he's brilliant. Because he's someone who does genuinely hit the target more often than not. Whether it gets blocked or the keeper saves it, whatever, but he's hitting it, it's on target. That finish is sensational with his wrong foot.
He could genuinely go to like League One and score 25 goals. I genuinely believe that. Genuinely believe that.
All it is for him is getting him facing the goal.
Yeah.
His back to goal clearly doesn't play like that. Listen, I've not seen him pull it back, but he'll probably have that from a young age. It's the movement. It's what happens in the Premier League is you got to be so sharp to move into pockets, which is why he wouldn't. If you really went all in on him, if Everton had 3 months without a striking, when Michael, you're the only one we're going to have to play, he might be able to get him. But you're right, I think if he dropped down 1 or 2 divisions, he'd be a striker.
But we're dropping him Saturday, aren't we?
I don't know, because the manager sort of hinted afterwards that maybe not, maybe Jared's got to wait, got to see. See, the problem I have, I said this on my Man of the Match thing, there's a dead fine line when you're doing this, right? You've got to give the players who aren't playing or who are on the fringes enough belief that if they get in and perform, they keep the shirt no matter what. And the fine line is when you've got someone on your shoulder who's just better than you. And that's the man, and that's Sean Dyche will know better than I do. But that's the fine line. The fine line is going, Peds, you were superb Saturday, so you're in this Saturday, mate. It's up to you to lose. You don't play well this Saturday, you're out because he's better than you. Because if you start, if I'm in a starting 11 and I know the minute this other striker comes back, I'm out. Your motivation levels drop. You get anxious when you're playing. I've got to take my chances. There is a fine line.
I think there's some players though that have to play, and I think Brandtwaite's one.
But I think Dyche will look and go, well, I'm not being funny. We've played 2 games on the run. We haven't conceded the goal.
No, but Brandtwaite's just a better player, and I think at centre back you could be waiting all season. I think you have to, some positions you have to make cutthroat.
I'm not saying he will play Saturday, but I'm saying it won't surprise me if Brandtwaite begins the game.
Wouldn't surprise me if Brandtwaite's not ready. Wouldn't surprise me if he's not fit enough and the manager takes the opportunity to give him another week. That wouldn't surprise me. But if I think he's fit and he's raring to go, I think there is some position. I think that's one of them where
fair play.
Because I just think that it's all good and fine in certain games. The last 2 games, Everton haven't really come up against the centre forward. But on Saturday, he will come up against the centre forward and Real Jimenez, who's been scoring goals. So it might be a little bit different, but.
He's got no real pace about him, Jimenez, so that's why he might be
No, but he's also very good in the air, and Michael Keane doesn't tend to not win a lot of headers, but he doesn't actually compete for a lot of headers. Michael Keane has numbers.
Well, that's on Saturday he lost both of the aerial deals.
That's what I'm saying, but it's only 2. That's what I'm saying.
Against the lap.
Tarky tends to go for all the headers, and so
he drops off. Yeah, no, it's an interesting one, definitely. Mark Smith says, "All our boys from Bogota." Hello, Mark. Hope you're good. Yeah, so we'll see. Sophie Gallagher, who's a YouTube member, says thoughts on Dominic Calvert-Lewin not acknowledging the fans, but every other player did.
I heard that, but I'll be honest, I don't know. I wasn't there, and I don't really want to make a big thing of it. But just to sum up the comments on Dom, I thought Dom outside the box was superb on Saturday, but in the box he was rubbish. So. It depends which way your bread's buttered, doesn't it?
He had, as a all-round centre forward, play, he was excellent.
Yeah.
Finishing.
It was terrible.
He can't.
But that's just
finish.
And that's for Everton now to solve that problem in terms of the personnel that they've got at the club, Schmidt or Brozier, whenever they're ready, and also long term, because he, there's a very, very, very high probability that he won't be at Everton next season. So that's something Everton have to sort. But it's one of those things that I wouldn't really waste too much time sort of worrying about, or getting too angry about. Dom is still head and shoulders our best striker in terms of how he fits the system, especially with one up front. Again, he proved that Saturday.
We don't support.
We don't get plays. We said before, didn't we? Imagine if Dom had like a Kale behind him, you'd be raving about Dom because someone else would be picking up the bits, but we don't. And his finishing is, again, said it so many times, he's not a natural finisher, and he doesn't have enough in the locker of and he goes to what he's being taught. And he likes the one where he goes inside, tries to catch the keeper with the eyes, and it's just not working. Keepers just stick a leg out and they save it.
See, this is why I'd have had said it before, I'd have had a striker coach and a forward coach. I think Everton missed. I think the managers missed a massive trick in not getting someone in to work on them front players.
Well, that's maybe something Dom could have done privately, done something on his own, especially if he wanted to move to somewhere better.
Depends whether he believes he needs one, though.
Well, he does so, doesn't he? Because his chance conversion rate is pretty poor. And Everton
he does need one. I'm saying whether he believes
Everton should have won that game 4-0 on Saturday. And the problem is that Beto just doesn't cater to what we need now, and that's the problem. Dom's out. What he does outside the box is absolutely fundamental, and it's fundamental as well to the latter stages of the game. And we've said loads of times in games when Beto's come on in them, suddenly you just look at the team and Everton suddenly have got no outball. Now, Beto might easily suit, and he will suit because other teams will want him, and other teams will look at him and go, he'd be perfect for us. He plays down the channels. We like slipping people in. We can build it up. He's a decent finisher. It is what it. We've got we talked about this before. There's like almost an element as you could put join two strikers together. You have a perfect striker. That's where we are, aren't we?
Gary, I don't understand what we don't support with the laughing faces. What does that mean? Just give me some context to it. He missed 3 sitters and at 27 he ain't Peru. Just give me a bit of context to that. Bit of context to your comments.
Well, we don't cross the ball to him, do we?
We don't have players around him.
No.
He didn't. I've just said his finishing was woeful. I don't know how much more you want us to spell it out, but give us a bit of context to it. John Van says Dom was excellent at the weekend. Ran their defence ragged. All his shots were on target. A little unlucky. Forward coach would be ideal. I don't put it down to bad luck. In all fairness, John. I put it down to poor finishing.
No, it's poor finishing.
If the goalkeeper's making great saves, then you go, that's just a bit unlucky. He's done everything right. But his hold-up play was super.
If he literally had one other conversion in his locker, and that was dinking the keeper, he'd have 30 more goals.
I can go back to Leeds United twice on the run, away games. The one when we won 2-1, and I think he did score in that one at the far post. I think we beat them 2-1 away. He had a chance to make it 3-1 at the goalie, and then in the 2-2, when Damari Gray scored that day.
Yeah,
he had another one at 2. We were 2-1 up. He had one-on-1 to then try.
If he knew, well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like that's
just work on that. And he might do. I don't know, but you think he'd be working on that every day for 15 minutes, just lifting it every day, so it's natural. Do you know what I mean? You look at the likes of, I know it's a different level of play, but look at like Mo Salah when he's through. How many times have you seen him?
Oh, do you know what I watched on? I don't know if I think I mentioned it to you. So on Friday night, I was watching a bit of Dortmund, and at half time, because they had the feed from Germany, but it's like the English feed. They had all of the Grassi's goals in Germany. Oh my God, some of that lad's finishing is unbelievable. But you know what? And he ended up scoring the winner as well for Dortmund. But you look at that lad's finishing, and it was just some of the finishes, and he loves just dinking the keeper. Like, he literally loves it, though.
Man on strike to play for Everton, and we didn't sign him. But carry on,
But, when I was just watching him going, number one, I was like, I can't believe we missed out on that player. But number two is just like, this is a lad that obviously he's got his move now. I didn't realise he was 28, actually. He's got his move to Dortmund, but I was thinking, like, that's the kind of finish you want. A lad who just gets into a situation and clearly everything just slows down. He manipulates time because it's not real. And the dinks over the keeper and some of the little chips and stuff, and you're just like, he's having fun. He's having fun. Whereas for Dom, everything just seems to speed up for him.
You seen the one at the week? I can't remember which one it was. There was one where it might have been where he controlled it really well with his right foot and hit it with his left foot straight away, and he had more time. But you seen him, he was like looking at obviously the one when he ran through and missed, he was looking at the sky as if to go, another one. That's when it's affecting you mentally. He needs a little time.
And he's the one where he spun and the keeper saved it. That's one which he'll have worked on, and you can tell when you're looking at it, you can tell you've worked on that. You've worked to get it in. And he did the same against Newcastle. You work hard to get it in and spin. But the most important thing for you is hitting the target. Where those extra elite striker or that elite striker that goes in the corner because
and then if he gets there and sits
because they're so good that it's all natural.
He had one at Leicester, didn't he? At 1-0 where he got slid in. And he done all right, but he again, it's too close to the keeper. But it's where another striker would arrow that beyond the keeper.
But as I'm saying, the top class striker, it's the corner because it's all so natural and the finishing is there, and it is what it is.
Repetition with it.
And you know what, Chimiti, I think we've Chimiti could have been. I think the club had such high hopes with for him this season to be that backup striker because he does have similar traits, and you know he's come a long way in 12 months, and sadly that injury has pushed them off course a little bit off, and he will be that backup. They obviously don't think there's a future for Beto, you know, and we could be easily starting next season without Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Beto and having a whole new strike, whether it be, I think Chimiti, someone they see as the long-term future, don't they? And, the long-term number 9 at Everton. Brozier, who knows, and maybe one other. Yeah. So it will all be, I imagine, all change for next season.
Gary says 80 missed big chances in his career. Someone's laying it on a plate for him. Yeah, I still don't sort of understand what your point is. Neither of us have sat here saying he's unlucky with his chances missed. We said he was really poor. The finishing was really poor, but he played really well. The bit of we don't support him isn't from the fans. It's the team. He should have players around him as well. He should be having more. Like on Saturday, it was a bit of an anomaly that he had so many chances because we don't normally create anywhere near like that. But if you're looking at a centre forward, I mean, someone made a good point that when he was out injured, we couldn't get out of our own half in some games. We didn't have anyone.
I think people have got to remember what he.
And that isn't. We didn't have Beto for most of that as well, by the way. So it's not having to go with Beto, but that was what Everton looked like when they didn't have Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and we had this manager. We couldn't get out of our half at times. He does all the other stuff really well. Good touch, powerful. His finishing is why probably clubs weren't banging the door down for him
not for that kind of money.
For the money. If he's got 15 goals a season, he would have got his move. But everyone's looking going. See, Dom, you've mentioned it before about Michael Keane in a different era. If Dom played in the era where it was 2 up front, he's your perfect target man. Because your perfect target man, you would be happy if he got 10 goals. Your other lad alongside him, the small one like me, or, when it was big and little, if you'd stuck a little one next to Kevin Phillips, Niall Quinn them days, he could have been the Quinn. And if he would have had a Kevin Phillips next to him, everyone would laud him for what a great target man he is. Problem is, in a one, and when your 2 wingers don't get goals either, really, he's the one you automatically look at.
Someone made a really good point to me over the weekend, and I thought, I generally did think it was a brilliant point. When we beat Brighton 5-1, Dom didn't score once and was brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant that day. Yeah. And everyone benefited from...
loads of games where he's led the line tremendous.
And on Saturday,
I even at kids level, I say this to Zach. You will have games where you're fantastic and don't score a goal, and other games where you're rubbish and you'll get a hat-trick. Yeah. So each performance has to be taken on its merit. Yeah. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has had way more really top games for us when he hasn't scored a goal. And it's for the team's benefit. Those moments when he does that, like the derby, he was great and he got a goal, outstanding. Saturday, away from the one-on-ones, really good centre forward play. But he does have to take one of those chances. That wasn't good enough. But again, not big beating them up over it.
But the thing about it is,
against Fulham, let's get a couple of goals, and it's all.
The thing about it is, I wouldn't be. This is what I don't quite understand: is I wouldn't be losing me any sleep over it because the fella on the bench. I seen people saying to me on Saturday, give Beto 5 or 6 games. Like we haven't got the manager hasn't got 5 or 6 games.
No,
nobody's got 5 or 6 games.
2 games away from being.
No one's got 5 or 6 games at this football club to be bedded in when. We already don't score. And I just with my eyes, and I don't know about you, have seen how the shape deteriorates when Beto plays up front. Now, yes, there is an argument, of course, and you made this one to me before, is there might be some games, and maybe Saturday was a game where you go, this is comfortable. Let's stick to Beto on for the last 10 minutes. And if we get a chance, he might be able to, if we go long and he runs. My worry with that is sometimes that because you are going long, it's like a 50-50 ball.
Channel balls, though.
I know, but I still think that's a 50-50 ball. Like, there's 50% chance he wins it.
The manager sees him every day, right? And whether you like the manager or you don't like the manager, it's irrelevant because the manager picks the team. So they watch Beto every day. If Beto's not performing in training, doesn't look like he's going to get you goals, why would they play him? We wouldn't play a goalie if he was dropping crosses in training, would they? They wouldn't play. Might put him on the bench, of course. And that's just the way it is, isn't it? We'll see, won't we? We'll see when Breuer's fit and when Chimity's fit. If the manager starts looking and going... Well, actually, Dom's not doing the business.
Chimity will 100% come off the bench for Dom because we saw that...
I think Breuer will, mate, honestly. I think Deitch likes Breuer, but the club are all in on Breuer. Now, where he comes on the pitch might be different. He might play him down the right to start because he's who knows, but we'll see, won't we?
But we'll see. But Beto definitely is... Beto will be moved on from the football club.
I think
I just think it's a mute argument, I think, the criticism of him, and maybe this is why, going back to the original point, maybe this is why he does walk down the tunnel. Maybe Dom doesn't feel the love. I don't know. I'm not in his head.
Someone said before he walked down the tunnel because and Jai's got a song.
No,
you're just putting.
It's just assuming. You're assuming. But the point is. And also, it's dead easy to start going after a player when you think he's leaving. It's easier to pick up, and I think maybe that's what's happened.
In all fairness, though, some people have said for a while he can't finish.
No, I don't think it takes a rocket science to see that.
No, I know, but
I think it's when you look at what else there is at the club, and there was for a while that argument, or maybe Beto could play. But I think I've seen enough of Beto for the style of play we play to suggest that it doesn't give us the outball we need.
We don't, because when he comes on, we don't change what we do. So we think he can do the same thing as what Calvert-Lewin does, which we don't.
Anyway.
But it's irrelevant.
We'll have two more strikers back with, by, I imagine, December when we'll need them because there's games all the time.
Louise says if Dom does half a job, then Beto does no job.
Yeah. So we'll have those two players back.
Yeah, we will.
But, again, it's just people saying he's terrible. He's not terrible at all. He had a really good game on Saturday.
Dom's not terrible.
That's what I'm saying. And you know what? If he's clever, if I'm Dominic Calvert-Lewin, right, and I am thinking about, he's more than thinking. I think it's 90%, 99% done that he's leaving. And chat is that Everton have gone back to his agency, and that was weeks ago and haven't had a response. So I think it's done. But if I'm him, I am looking at a top Italian team, genuinely, because I think he could. I think for like Milan, I mean, him going to you think he goes to Milan, right? So they've got Tammy Abrams right on loan now from Roma. If he was to go to Milan and be there number 9, playing Champions League, going for the league over there, just the absolute, fashion, Ned, fair play, good shout. The absolute, just the way they, the Italian league's not what it used to be, but at the same time, it's still, it's not like you go to Italy and they go around going, we're not what we used to be. It's still their top thing. I think if he went to somewhere like Milan, I think he could do very, very well, and I think those clubs will be in for him. I wouldn't be sticking around in the Premier League if I was him. Personally, I think he could go to somewhere like Italy and have a really good time of it. And do something a little bit different and get and be something a little bit different. And I think he'd score a ton of goals over there. I really do. I really, really think he could.
Yeah, sure he would. And if he gets people running off him and they get balls into him, then he'll do well. Look at, someone mentioned Olivier Giroud. Look at him. I think Dom's more mobile than Giroud, but Giroud was a fabulous striker, but he didn't score tons of goals. Yeah. Certainly true, but he has people running off him, doesn't he? And we don't sort of have that, but we can't move away from the fact he does miss chances. But I think he is. You can't say he's not very good. I just think in a 2, of course, he'd have been absolutely excellent because the onus would have been on the other striker because that was always how it was. But the game has moved, and when you are the focal point, you have to be a little bit sharper.
Sorry, Liam. Tammy Abrahams is currently Milan's number 9. They had 38-year-old Giroud. They had 41-year-old Zlatan playing for them. Milan, have you seen how many Scottish players are playing in Italy at the moment? Milan would have Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I guarantee they'd have Dominic Calvert-Lewin. They wouldn't give him £150,000 a week because they don't pay those kind of wages. But Milan would have Dominic Calvert-Lewin easily.
Yeah, it's just,
some of the comments from people are mad. Dom in the Champions League behave. He'll be back at Sheffield at best. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Seriously?
That is weird.
The goals aren't any bigger in Italy. No, well, the goals aren't any bigger in Sunday League, but I guarantee he probably scored about 15 goals a game in Sunday League.
Easily. And the rest. Yeah. Honestly, right, everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? I just don't understand that he's not like, people talk about him like he's awful, and he's just not awful. He's a decent striker, he's a target man, which is what he is. That's all he is.
The goals aren't any smaller in the Premier or bigger in the Premier League, but Paul Mullen wouldn't score 25 goals a season in the Premier League, would he? That's football, of course. That's why we have levels. Of course, we have levels.
Why would any club buy a striker that can't finish? Yeah, but he might get 10 goals. Why did Everton get Neil Maupay? The most he'd ever got was 8 or 10. Why? You know what I mean? Come on. Let's just back off a little bit. Nobody's saying Dominic Calvert-Lewin's Romelu Lukaku. Nobody. We're not saying it. Certainly. I don't think anyone who's defending him saying it, but the flip argument from other people that he's like a terrible centre forward is bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. Can Everton do better? Well, hopefully, yeah, because we should always be trying to do better.
Yeah.
But for a lad that cost us £1.5 million, if that, he's been an excellent signing and he's been excellent for Everton. And maybe this is why he wants to move on, because he knows how people feel about him. I don't know, but I do find it funny that some of the comments, like as if Milan had won, and when you look at some of the strikers who play in Italy, you know, Samaka didn't even look like a footballer at West Ham, and yet he's done well in Italy. Strikers come and go back there. Lads go there when they're 37. So it's a slower league. Dom's a good player. If you give him chances, he'll score goals. He won't score one-on-one because he might get the odd one. That isn't his skill set. But let's not talk about him like he's absolutely terrible, because he isn't, because that's not, to me.
Godfrey plays in the Champions League, by the way.
Absolute nonsense, that though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's nonsense. But listen, let's hope he scores goals. Yeri Mina too says, how did the lap look on Saturday? I've watched him a bit this season, looked like he has, but well, on Saturday, and it's only Saturday, and I have seen him and he's looked good. On Saturday, he looked like he should be playing for the Dog and Duck. He looked like an A-low striker. He really did.
Do you know where awful. I think he went wrong on Saturday? Is he decided quite early on that he wanted to have a fight with the centre-backs, and he picked on the wrong one of the worst centre-backs in the Premier League to have a fight with, which is James Tarkowski.
He was crap though.
He was. No, that's what I'm saying.
He offered nothing. He ended up just, because he couldn't get the better of either of them, he ended up just trying to foul people, and he was embarrassing at the end, really. And I like Liam. I think he's got loads of potential. But on Saturday, if you'd have only ever seen him once, you would look at him and go, he should be playing in
But that's what I'm saying. I think he got into his mind early on that he wanted to have a tussle, and he got it completely wrong. And I think once he got himself into that mindset, because some of his goals have been absolutely fantastic.
I can see why City let him go, though. He's nowhere near.
No, he's not. He's nowhere near that level. I think with a year in the Premier League, I think he could.
I think he'd be all right.
I think after a year in the Premier League, I think you could see a West Ham and an Everton looking at that kind of player, because I think he's with the current managers as a one up front. As a one up front, as a bit of a bully.
He's a hard working bully type player, but he's not a player who's going to go right to the very top. Not unless he refines.
No, he won't go to the top.
He's got no pace, real pace about him. Or he didn't.
He looks like an old-fashioned centre forward.
He's just a big, powerful lad. But when I've seen him before, I've gone, he has got something. On Saturday, he looked absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. But he'll have better games than that. His head went. You can't do that at that level. You've got to stay on your game. And you're right, he should have picked the centre-backs and gone, actually, I'll put myself on Michael Keane, see if there's any joy to be had there. Then Kieran McKenna needs to grab hold of him and go, lad, just play your game. Don't get involved in all that. Do what you're good at. Get yourself half a yard. Drop into pockets and get shots away. Danny Church says, I'd take the lap. There you go. One looked like a top Premier League centre-forward and one looked like a League One striker on Saturday, and you're opting for the League One striker, so fair play. However, caveat, the lap probably scores more than Dom in with better teams. Who knows? Just seen one I thought was dead interesting, but it's disappeared. Danny says Dom's biggest problem is he has no killer instinct. He's not aggressive enough, never seems hungry to be a real threat. Got good attributes, but he's not lethal. No, he's not a like cold striker, is he, in front of goal? He's not that. And at this age, he probably couldn't get to that level. But he is still a good goal scorer. Good centre forward, doing all the other stuff. And it sounds stupid because I love me strikers, but if you take the 1v1s out of it, he's a good centre forward. But you have got to be able to take those one-on-ones because that's what you're hoping for. You're playing a game. You're hoping to get that one opportunity in a game. That's what you're hoping for, to get in front of the goal with the goalkeeper. That's your key. And if you can't take them chances, then that's not great. That is not great at all, is it? But what you do? Where are we? Gary Ward says Hardy. Benjamin says Keane should be our striker. Jake says, I actually think Breuer could have a real impact when he's fit. More of a natural finisher than Dom. We'll see. I think he could have an impact. We'll see. James says, great 3 points at the weekend. Thought Dom played really well. His finishing can be so poor at times, though. Correct. I certainly wouldn't be giving him a pay rise. I think that ship sailed, mate, to be honest. Mark says, all right, lads, I was listening to Ipswich version of yourselves. They had no complaints. Said Njai was a different level above anyone on the pitch. With Taki playing with a knock, maybe we should consider Keane and Jarrett for the next game and let Taki recover. Mention again for Young. I
don't think Taki will recover with one game. I don't think Taki will recover probably for most of the season because he'll play every game. But I just don't think leaving him out for 1 week. I mean, he's just been out for 2 weeks. So I think it'll be a case of managing him in training, and hopefully it settles down. But I think, it's just because of the injury he got picked up in the pre-season. It's like you're probably going to have to carry that most of the season.
There's another break in 3 weeks, isn't there? So Mark says, wear my black armband for Jack after he's departed, but these two new youngsters, Baz and Ped, look decent.
He's gone, mate. Thanks. He's gone. You just go. It's done, isn't he?
Yeah,
it's done.
That's Charlison. Simon says, regarding the VAR decision, shouldn't questions be why the referee's making such terrible decisions that need overturning?
That's football. Always has been football.
See, Michael Oliver, I don't really blame him for making the decision because I think he saw Clark go into a ruck of players and go down. And I think a referee's natural instinct is to point to the spot there, which is why Craig Pawson's decision in our game pissed me off even more when you hear the audio, because he can't see and just goes, not for me, and he can't see. Don gets taken out. It's not like he's got a clear view and knows that happened. He just didn't want to give Everton the penalty, and that's disgusting. I think he should have left VAR. He should have given the pen and left VAR overturn it. So I've got no real problem with Oliver making that decision, because I think a lot of referees would have given the penalty, and then it's up to VAR to go, that's wrong. But VAR, in my opinion, should be getting the right decision. It shouldn't be whether he's made a mistake. It should be getting the right decision. Whether that's, you've got that absolutely spot on, referee, or no, you're wrong, go and look at it. Gray Lead says Everton played better on Saturday, but Ipswich didn't exactly set the world alight. They had a few opportunities to hit the target and fluff their lines. Dom is literally the worst striker I've ever seen at one-on-one. Who knows? Possibly, we'll see. Paul says, regarding Kalvin Phillips, Ped's correct. Loss of status and the fact he's no longer seen as a winner is catastrophic for any man's mental health. As a psychotherapist, I see this day in, day out.
Said.
There you go, Ped.
There you go.
Adam M.
Diagnosed them.
You did. Think Ipswich were relying on Phillips to be what Barkley was for Luton last season. Doesn't look like he'll come close. Look miles off it.
They just look too nice. If that makes... I think the whole thing... I think Luton last season had an edge about them. I think going to their ground with it being novel, let's just say, had an edge to it. An uncomfortableness about it, which obviously gave them an edge. Ipswich just look too nice.
Yeah.
They just look too nice. They've got a way of playing football. They've got nice players, all young. They've picked, as the comment said there, probably picked the wrong Arlas. And it's, the football will have to dramatically improve, and I can't see that personally.
Barkley took you forward as
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Ross is a very good footballer. Mark says Ipswich fans are saying apart from Jacob Greaves and Delap, the rest of their players are nowhere near Premier League level. No. They looked miles off it.
The gap's so big, isn't it now? The gap's so big.
When I say the 3 promoted teams won't get 30 points, it's not because I think they're dreadful teams. It's just a gap once you're out of it. Yeah. You're almost trying to leapfrog teams who are just in there with players who people go, they're not good enough, and they are comfortably good enough for Premier League football, aren't they? You look at Wolves at the moment and you go, goals might be an issue, but they've still got a lot of players who are Premier League level. You look at, Crystal Palace, who haven't won a game yet, and you go, they've got players who are good enough to play at that level. Whereas the 3 that come up, I look and just go, I'm convinced. I think Leicester have got
goals at least.
2 good results, but that Leicester, for me, are blagging it at the moment. They'll be caught out because Bournemouth should have beat them about 9-1 and they won 1-0. Southampton would have beat them if it was 11v11.
I know, but these are coulda, woulda, shouldas.
No, I know, but I just, over the season, it'll level out, trust me. Evan Viking says, glad to get a win, but also won't be going overboard. It's a game you should be winning.
No, it is a game you should be winning.
Yeah. Everton Viking, Ned and Jack are leaving for pastures new of their own. It's not a frequent-esque restructure.
Ned's got 10 days.
Yeah.
And we will beat him for those 10 days.
He's
got an apple, a banana and grapes currently on the table, all in plastic bags, which isn't good for the environment, Ned. He's got a bottle of water and he's also got a pot of Huel.
And Stan says, all right, lads, totally agree with your comments regarding Dom. I've never been a fan of his, just not good enough as a goal scorer. He has really good games and we're a much better team with him in it, but he definitely needs someone next to him. We don't support him as a team. He's not the one to score the goals needed. I do think Beto would score more goals per minute. However, for all-round play in the team, I'd be picking Dom. It's an issue that needs addressing. It's madness. This isn't because he's leaving. I've never thought he's got what we need. And Graham says, I agree, Dom's overall play was really good, but his inside the box play was really poor. Maybe he went straight down the tunnel because he felt bad about the missed chances.
Maybe. You can't, we don't know, do you?
No, you can't second guess him.
No, we don't know why he went down the tunnel. Maybe, might have needed the toilet.
But he might have had a cob on, which is rightly so. I mean, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. We'd have done it as playing,
Didn't have a tunnel.
Didn't have a tunnel, no.
That's the biggest problem.
I've played in games where we've won 6-0, I haven't scored, I haven't spoke to anybody, put my stuff on and gone. Because but I'm saying, so for him...
Your son has played in games where you've won 6-0 and he hasn't scored and you've had a cob on.
I have had a cob on if he doesn't score. Scored a cracker yesterday.
What score was he? Hang on. So he scored yesterday and you got beat 5-1 and you made up.
I'm not made up.
No, you made up.
I'm made up at all. I'm not made up. But we didn't have a goalie in, although our winger was in goal and was excellent. And they were really good.
Could have been that excellent. Conceded 5 goals.
2 deflections.
You need to get Cosgrove in to coach your goalies.
Well, funnily enough, I asked Mike, could Owen play his lad? But he declined.
Ringer?
We signed him. We signed him on Thursday or Friday.
Does he play for a team?
He does, but you can sign up for 3 teams.
Can you? That's disgusting.
Mate, it's got to be in different leagues.
You didn't say that.
In the same league.
You didn't say that.
One of the teams we play against might play Ringers every time we play them, just against us.
Name names?
Can't.
Not the kids' names, obviously. You can't do that.
No. They know who they are. They know who they are. Yeah, so if he has got a cop on because he's missed sitters, then fair play. He's gone down kicking things, throwing things around the dressing room. But we'd never know. Listen, we won the game. We should all be buzzing. That's what it's all about. Right?
Buzzing like a bee.
We'll be talking about all the other games where strikers scored goals and strikers didn't score goals.
Emma is not getting the job. Can I just confirm that?
No, because she hasn't turned up. She hasn't applied, which is one of the issues, isn't it? Know what I mean? It's one of the problems.
Ned's sniggering away.
What are you sniggering at, Ned?
I was thinking of calling John and going, "Hello, this is Mrs. Doubtfire. I've just read your newspaper ad. I'd like to apply for the position of producer."
Okay. Fair
You're
play.
going to deny Doubtfire, my dear.
But Emma, definitely isn't getting it because she hasn't applied. So there you go. Right, quarter
And
past
also
2.
because she's a massive goth. I just made that up. Because if a goth wants to apply, they could. No issue. Just can't wear eyeliner in the studio.
Why?
It's not allowed. It's
Why?
a safety hazard.
Why?
Because you don't have full vision and you could trip over one of the wires and fall over.
I've got
Say
some
you do have
just
full
for men
vision.
on.
You don't.
I've never worn it, so why would it impede your vision? Well, you know.
You'd know all the times you've worn as Captain Jack.
Captain Jack. Absolute classic. Classic. Right. Take it easy. No, you can't work from home, Michael.
No, it's very much
very much
in the
studio
job.
based.
It's very much you have to go on camera based as well.
I don't really know.
Some of the people who've applied, like,
Someone applied from Grimsby,
some applied from all over the place.
Pakistan.
Pakistan was one. Somewhere else in Europe. Like, no, because unless you're flying in every day for your stint,
God.
you're in trouble. God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What did you say about goths the other week?
People in school thought I was a goth because
No, you said something about you never see goths somewhere.
You never see goths drive.
You never see goths drive.
Never see goths pregnant.
Never see.
I have no issue with goths, by the way.
Never seen a homeless goth.
I don't think homeless people can worry about putting their makeup on.
Have you got any spare eyeliner?
I mean, even the red man. Thought that. So there you go.
Goths don't like footy.
You don't know that though. Oh my God.
But you don't ever see a goth at the match, do you?
Listen, I'm getting us out of this.
I sometimes think if I did play a goth in football, if I said something, a bit like that horrible, I might go, if I get a challenge and I go, "You're not ready," he might go, "I'll destroy your world."
Imagine turning up a footy, but it's the Crow.
Yeah, no one would pick
That'd be
fights for me now.
amazing. Starting up front, full white
Emma,
makeup on.
anybody can apply. It's just you can't apply if you live in another country, because how are you going to come and be in the studio every day?
Yeah.
It's sort of a sticking point.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because you have to go on camera. Literally, you have to sit in this seat.
But you've got to be here.
Yeah, my name.
You've got to be here. I mean, it's it's quite an important stipulation of the job. I'll apply to be president of the United States, but I want to do it from ours. Right. See you at 2:15. There's a link. Just stay with that. Get a drink.
Goth lives matter.
So does everyone else. See you in a minute.